Canes fans, good evening. Peter Ariz here, and I have a star-studded show lined up for you guys tonight. We've got the offensive guru, we got the defensive guru of the CanesInSight content creating community. So we have Stevo from 365 Canes Football, and then we have Nick Echeverria, West End Zone, another great contributor on the website. Both of these guys also have their own YouTube pages, so you can check that out. But just really excited. I know we haven't done one of these lives in a couple weeks. Things have been hectic in the personal life, but excited to get back on here with two of the best. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, big chilling. Nice easy day. It's nice outside. Good weather. I'm chilling.
So as always, the fans will trickle in here. So we won't get into the big stuff right off the bat. But as you fans come in here, drop your questions. Offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. Just some quick promo stuff real quick before we get into it here. D-Money dropped the ATM. Me and him also put out a podcast yesterday where he dropped even more info. The bank, as always, the recruiting board. That's always where the juicy stuff is going to be. And as this season wraps up, I know that the boards get crazier and crazier. But also did an NC State preview of Corey Smith of Pack Pride. So it's always nice to hear the other side, the flip side of these games that we have in the ACC. So check that out. But as always, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let's just go back to last week, fellas. Both sides of the ball, it's going to be a different picture, right? But Nick, you and I were chatting real quick before we went live here, and you made an interesting observation about the defensive side of the football. Obviously, the offense has not been firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
So Lance Guidry's side, they've had a ton of injuries. He's had to scheme some things up, but ton of changes as the game went on from a personnel and scheme standpoint.
Yeah, so to kind of like segue off of what you said about the injuries, people saw us kind of go to that 3-3 personnel against Clemson. You see that we ran 3-3 personnel, but then you saw the play calling, and it really doesn't look like that, like a true 3-3 system, like like NC State, that we'll see this week, right? And so I think that week that we went to the 3-3 plus a week of practice going into NC State gave us a chance to sort of coach up some of the younger guys, Jaden Wayne, playing that boundary end position. We spoke about in prior podcasts that's going to be sort of like a hybrid outside linebacker type of spot. Obviously, true freshman, had some good plays, had some not so good plays, and you really saw UVA go into that game and attack the boundary. They basically ran away from Bain the whole game, and so you saw them, have probably more success than we would like. Obviously, they didn't play that great either, and a lot of their success came from either blown assignments or missed tackles. The thing that I saw that has to be sort of commended is kind of twofold, right? And they both have to do with like effort, right? And so you saw us kind of get into bad plays, and then mid play, someone with effort stops that from being something worse. And then number two is, sometime in the third quarter, fourth quarter, you saw us turn it around, where at some point we woke up and started tackling again. And so that's something that I thought was unique. Yes, maybe that's happened over the past few years, but we've seen it quite a bit in past years where you see us just go down the tank and never get out of it.
Yeah, it's tough to flip the physicality switch like that in the middle of the game, right? And I think on the other side of the ball, we've been hoping that the offense, obviously the Clemson game, that's one thing with TVD being out and Emery Williams having his first start in that one. But you were kind of hoping last week the offense would find that spark, right, Stevo? In the middle of that game, again, it was not pretty, completely different from what we saw the first 4 games of the season, right? Especially, we keep going back to the Texas A&M game, right? Because that was the high point of the season thus far. So, I mean, talk to me. If you're Shannon Dawson, what are just some things that you saw from last week? I know you did a review, so Canes fans, check out Stevo's full review on his page, the 365 Canes football page on YouTube. But talk to me, man. I mean, the fans are getting flashbacks to the last few years with the struggles on offense.
Yeah, well, thank God, just like the defense, we got effort, and them boys up front got a lot of effort. So that's why we're squeaking by with these wins. But everybody's wants to know, is it TVD or is it Dawson? When you're the quarterback coach and OC, everything falls on your plate, because at this point, Georgia Tech laid out a blueprint, and they're running 3-man concepts. So you have the tight end staying in the block. So if you drop 8 in coverage, your system, you have the numbers, right? Your quarterback has to make a tight throw. You have when he threw that pick versus Georgia Tech where the cornerback slipped under, like, you could afford to take those type of gambles when you're just, everybody's dropping back. You could step up and make that tackle if he ends up throwing that hitch instead and faking you out on that corner. So it affords you the opportunity to take chances like that. But it really, they just have to get it together. Georgia Tech did, drop back, and then UNC kind of did that. And when he was doing that, he was checking it down to Restrepo a lot, and everybody was mad at him, right? Throwing X. But with a lot of those concepts, he was the check down, because you keeping it in the tight end in line, the running back staying inside, then he releases late. So he's getting the ball out quicker. But every time UNC went man, we killed them. We went the Jacoby George touchdown on the out and up, the same touchdown on the out and up with the trips bunch formation to mix up the man for X. And then obviously the Brashard slot fade. So when they go man, we could take those shots. That's why no team's doing it no more. They're just going to consistently do it. And then when you versus UVA, you had 5 versus 3. We were running, tight end inline blocking. You have 3 concepts, right? Most of them are outside the sideline, all wide throws. And then, you have a safety over the top and a safety drifting underneath with 3-on-3 with man coverage, and then an extra. So it's 5-on-3. Football's a numbers game. So you have this TVD trying to fit balls over. They're dicey. Sometimes he's staring, but there's a lot of people just looking at him, dropping back. A big way to defeat the too high is when you can take advantage of either a linebacker or a nickel trailing up the seam, trying to split that too high. So, TVD has thrown that a lot to Will Mallory over the years, even Kobe Young last year. Maybe it's time to get a big body in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and everyone continues to ask for maybe the use of a tight end a little bit more prominently in the scheme. Look, we aren't the coaches, but you guys, these are just observations to the common eye, or obviously you guys the more than common eye here. So as we get some comments in here, Canes Cats Heat 305, appreciate you joining the show as always. Keyshawn George, basketball comment here, talking about freshman All-American season starts on Monday. Banner, the Final Four banner going up, but excited for him. Fish Fan Miami, appreciate you. As always, we got a question here from FTW305 MDC. Should we rely on the running game more? I mean, look, obviously that's what brought us home last week, right? So, and that was key the prior week as well. But Nick, we'll start with you there.
Should we rely on the run game more? I mean, that's kind of like a contextual comment, right? It's like, yes, probably. Yes, probably not. It kind of depends on what we're getting. I can tell you against UVA, I'm sitting there watching the game, and I see UVA kind of gambling on first down, like whether it's by alignment or they would actually sending pressure sometimes on first down, and I thought that to kind of like open up the offense, I thought we needed to start throwing on first down, and it's I'm always going to be the guy that wants to run the ball. If you can run the ball, you can do anything, right? But but obviously, it's not as simple as that. Coming up next week, NC State's going to play probably like an inverted cover 2 coverage, and they're going to bring that free safety to like 7 yards, right? And that free safety is going to be essentially a primary run defender. He's a box defender. I mean, I still haven't found anybody that's able to run against robber coverage consistently. So it's going to be on us to go vertical, like probably on first down.
Stevo?
Yeah. The one thing about it is NC State, they're definitely watching tape. So we don't know if they're going to come out in their type of defense, and play that man and try to do what their game plan is. That they might totally switch it up this week. You might not know. So I feel like if you want to say you rely on the running game more, it really depends on, what gets you that win that week. Sometimes you have to lean on that running game, and that's what it's been these last 2 weeks. I mean, at some point, we're going to have Tyler Van Dyke win us a game. And why not this game? I think, they're going to drop back. They're going to put more eyes on him. But the running game, it's not that we need to rely on it more, but we do need more big explosive plays. You saw what happened when A.J. Allen hurdled the guy and took it all the way. A lot of times we've been getting tripped up. We just been like, damn, we're so close. All year we've been getting tripped up. Shoestring tackles, little thigh bump, all this stuff where we could have housed these. If the explosive run plays are in there, then we'll be fine. Because right after that, Cam had the pick 6, and then next thing you know, everybody was confident we were going to win this game, and then we were able to rely on the running game. So if we can get the explosive runs in, then all day hand that ball off. But I mean, if not, I put a thing out earlier today. NC State, every time we play them, our quarterbacks go crazy. Stephen Morris set a record versus them.
Yeah.
500 something yards, 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Eric King went for 435 touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing. Tyler Van Dyke himself went over 325, 4 touchdowns versus 1. So if there's any team for a quarterback for Miami to get out of the slump, it's time for NC State.
It's crazy, man. And just doing my prep and looking at this NC State Demon program, that Dave Doran has been there now in his 11th season in today's day and age, because I guess he hasn't been elite enough to get these offers from other programs that he would make a jump to, right? But he's been, I mean, more than good enough. I mean, average 8-win seasons left and right, which a program like NC State will take all day, right? Sprinkling in some other seasons there, but man, it's pretty crazy the consistent program he's built over there. But you're right, Steve. I mean, it seems like the quarterbacks the passing games always do very, very well against the Wolfpack. So let's turn our attention to this game. It's Thursday already, so that Virginia game is in the past. Looking at this NC State team, right, and we've already alluded to it a few times, that 3-3-5, which we saw Miami use against Clemson, and it's not the same exact 3-3-5 as you said, Nick. But I'm going to go from each point of view here, right? We'll start, Stevo, with you. With what you've seen from Miami's offense the last couple of weeks, TVD getting back in the flow of things last week, coming back from injury, how would you attack this NC State defense from what you've seen? Because it's not the same sort of defense you're going to see week in, week out at the college level.
I think first and foremost, I think we just need to be a little diverse in the running game. I think we have to make sure our running games, count. So give me some counters, give me some stretches, give me obviously the inside zone, maybe get Brashard Smith involved, all that type of good stuff. So that's going to be on the menu regarding anything. But I really hope we begin to start using maybe some more RPO and tempo to try to get it. We had some tags where we go hitch, RPO hitch to the slot a couple of times. It was always pretty successful. Versus Temple and versus Texas A&M, we had RPOs where it's a signal to the outside for the fade. That was the Jacoby touchdown versus Texas A&M, and the Temple bomb that he had on the sideline. Those are just quick RPOs. Everybody's blocking, and then we'll take that one-on-one fade. But the teams are giving us that drop back. Where's the RPO slant? Maybe we can get that linebacker to step up, and then when you catch one of these guys running full speed, Brashard Smith running full speed across, I think that's how you can split it. Now these guys they're playing so deep now, against us. So if we could split that with a speedster, we could take it to the house.
Nick, you being the 335, poster boy on CanesInSight for all these years, as we mentioned when we first had you on a few weeks back.
425.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. 425. But they are similar enough. Yeah, that you, I know that you are very well versed on it, right? Where could this NC State defense give Miami's offense trouble?
I think the only way that they can really give us trouble is if TVD gives ourselves trouble, right? I mean, that's kind of it's yes. Look, so just looking at the 335, it's obviously an odd front system. They're always going to be ready to drop 8. And they're not going to, I mean, yes, in certain formations, certain situations, certain coverages, you're going to know when the pressure is coming from, but not all the time, right? And so if you play us like everybody else has played us, probably what's going to happen is NC State's probably going to, play that sort of inverted cover 2 on first down, try and get in a better third down situation. And then I see them dropping 8 quite a bit, or they just play coverage and they're going to hide the pressure. And so it's seeing them man for man and seeing their scheme, it really doesn't scare me, right? And I think something that we could do, and I think fans probably don't want to hear this, but believe it or not, going in 12 personnel, okay, playing a sort of ace set or trade look where it's 2 tight ends on each side of the line of scrimmage. That's kind of like a known, tried and true way to spread out the 335. So the way you spread it out is by bringing more guys inside, and that's also the way you stop sort of bare fronts as well. I think we can get sort of access to the run game by doing that. It's kind of like what Mario has been doing, and people don't like the physical ball stuff and all that, but I think we can throw in that personnel and stay that personnel to sort of run the game, to run the ball. I think it can be pretty effective.
Yeah, and looking, I mean, Mario, as he is every week in these press conferences, he's very complimentary of the opponent. He says this is a very athletic, fast defense for NC State, and look, they grade out well just looking at the total defense numbers, right? They're number 35 or 36 in the country, I want to say. So it's not elite, but they're no joke. They have had a couple games where they've given up some points, but as Corey Smith said on the podcast yesterday, a lot of that has been consequential. The ball getting turned over in certain spots, defense getting put in tough situations. But you look at the offensive side of the ball, they have some guys who can make some plays. Primarily Kevin Concepcion, Stevo. I know you've probably watched this kid a bit, having a really, really good freshman season out of Charlotte. what problems could he pose for this Miami defense?
Well, the first problem is he's going to get targeted minimum amount of times of like 5 to 8. Like I probably more in these type of games. So that's your first problem is they're definitely going to make a concerted effort to get him the football. That's their guy, young or not, that's the guy. So they move him around a lot, so you can get him a little bit of that free release. Obviously, they don't want him just living on the outside or in the slot, just getting heamed up. So they do move him around. They like him to be the number 3 in the bunches, so you get that free release. So you just got to put Daryl Porter on him and call it a day. To be honest, I'm not scared at all. Every time I get on CanesInSight, I tell you that the cornerback room is all from Broward County with Jaden Davis, to Corey Couch, and Daryl Porter Jr., and that is straps. So I really don't fear him. But they're going to try to get him the ball, and I'm excited because I think they're going to put DP2 on him, and he'll finally start seeing some more targets because teams don't target him. So I'm excited for his first interception of the year if they go that way.
Yeah, no, I think, and he's the type of guy that body type wise, Miami has the guys who can move around with him. I think everyone's been targeting FSU and Keon Coleman and his big physical body type at the receiver spot, right? So that's what everyone's been waiting to see. There was questions about that with Texas A&M earlier in the season that they answered to a very high degree, but I definitely think that's going to be an interesting one to watch, Nick, because I don't know if you've had a chance to watch their offense at all. Obviously, Brennan Armstrong came over from UVA in the transfer portal. Everyone was hyping that up, and things didn't go so well the first 4 games of the season. So they said, we're gonna take a look at the sophomore, and try to make a move there. But
yeah, they look.
I mean,
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I look. Thank God for them. They brought in a quarterback that's just not gonna do God-forsaken things. I mean, it's just it's so bad. But getting back to Concepcion is, to kind of like build to what Stevo said. And the run game, they're gonna try a lot of 2-back sort of concepts from 11 personnel, where personnel-wise, it doesn't look like 2-back. But they're going to put him in the backfield, treat that halfback like a fullback. Then they're going to go sort of unbalanced line. And really all they're doing is they're testing our defensive coordinator and testing our guys to be disciplined enough and coach well enough to adjust to the unbalanced sets. Now, good thing for us is Guidry loves to play a lot of cover 1. I mean, especially lately. Especially when he comes in with the 4-3 stuff, he comes in a sort of man-free look, and man-free is one of the easiest defenses to coach and to play in, and it's basically self-adjusting, and there's not a lot that sort of has to happen, and as to kind of get to my point is that NC State wants you to misalign, not put a guy in the gap and sort of miss an assignment, get Concepcion in space, and then just hope for like a big play. And that's really all they're trying to do with him and the run game.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Have you seen anything from the quarterback, Stevo, that you've liked? I mean, he was a pretty solid recruit coming out of high school. And we're talking about MJ Morris, who, again, played some games as a freshman last year, had some really nice moments, and they decide to kind of look towards the future with him. Anything you've seen from him that, look, he hasn't had a breakout performance on the ground, but he does have the ability with his feet to probably pose some issues for Miami.
Yeah, I'm for a long time, we've been the Achilles heel of just random quarterbacks just having good games versus Miami. So I never sleep on any quarterback, to be honest with you. I forgot what year it was, 2018 or 2017, the Pittsburgh. Oh my God. So we sometimes we made backup quarterbacks or not good quarterbacks.
Oh, we made guys like, remember Ben Kurt, Virginia? He ended up getting drafted and stuck in the league for a few years. But I remember him torching the Canes. But yes, sorry to get a
Not
little point.
2017,
I
though.
completely agree. Yeah.
But yeah, no, so I don't sleep on any quarterback. To be honest, they're just like this was just stated, but they just want to play sound football. They're well coached. The coach has been there 11 years. That culture is established. When these kids walk into there's no guessing. There's not Coach Mario's in the locker room and we're fixing it. Like that's what it is. It's not a finished product because every year is different, but setup wise, they're rolling. It's been the same thing as consistency. That's really hard to find in college football. 11 years, that's a long time. So it's honestly a remarkable achievement. So they don't beat themselves. They try to play on you to beat yourself. They're going to, like he said, play sound physical football. They're not going to miss a gap to allow you to get up to a linebacker full speed as a pulling guard. And then next thing you know, it's all the way to the house. So they're not going to do those things. They're going to try to force you to do those type of things. They're not going to beat themselves. They're going to tackle. So you have to make them miss. It's not going to be you can't just catch a ball. I hate it, bro, when we don't break tackles. So we got to make plays after. We've been making yak plays all year. Now you see the screens, teams are biting on our screens and it hasn't been as successful. That's been the reason why a lot of our yaks have been up because we've been able to pop some of those. And easily 6 to 7, 8 yards. And all that is an extension of the run game when the numbers don't favor you inside the box. So, if that's not the case, then we need to get some react on the RPO, which I'll go back to. You catch that slant and go. Like you got to split. You got to split.
We got a comment here from Johnny Law, who I think it was you, Stevo, who said this earlier in the show about working the tight ends of the team.
Yeah, because it's a mismatch. You got either a linebacker or a DB. So either he's too slow or he's too small. But you're trying to just get that back shoulder ball right over. Because he's going to carry him up the seam while the safety split. So a lot of the teams are playing too high and they're going to drop him. And we did it twice with X versus UNC. One time was on 4th down and he had nowhere to fit that football and it hit the back of the defender and everybody was really mad. Then we ran it in the end zone where X gave him hesitation and gave TVD a little bit of room and he back shouldered it for a touchdown. So like it, that's the right read for TVD to attack. Maybe a different personnel change. Like I could see an Elijah Arroyo running down that. I could see a Riley Williams running down that. Not saying Cam McCormick can't, but just from a standpoint that I could see them, making those plays above the rim, especially at Riley Williams at 6'7". TVD did that, versus UNC last year and Virginia Tech last year. There's been multiple games, even in 2021, where he hits the tight end up the middle of the field. So that's just any quarterback's best friend, common knowledge. Sometimes things aren't as hard as people make it seem. You miss a target in the middle, big bang. Everybody's eyes are looking at you when you're in the quarterback and you just feel everybody's eyes just looking at you. Sometimes you just want to know you have a target that you can just get him the football no matter what. So even if it's not a tight end, maybe Kobe Young in the middle of the field, somebody that TVD could trust to put a ball up and come down with it.
Nick,
to kind of add to that, yeah, I just to add to the comment, like keeping it simple, the past several games I've been like, hey man, just check it down, man. Give it, just check it down, and it's gonna be something positive. If they make a guy miss, it's even more. It's take something easy. You know what I mean? And it's then either now build confidence and all that type of stuff. TVD to me is like. He's like a golfer, right? And if he kind of gets in a slump, he kind of, I think he has to get like a few good plays to get going, checking it down. I think like you said, start working in the middle of the field. Obviously, that's kind of like a scheme thing. And I think if we end up playing a lot of 12 personnel, we're gonna have to do that either way, right? So, definitely keep it simple for him for sure.
We've had Swag Kane with this comment a couple times. It depends how much TVD wants it. Emory when he was in, wanted to win against Clemson, got it done. Does TVD want it that bad? Our defense does. I mean, look, it's a lot more than that. TVD definitely wants it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It just comes down to making the plays right. And taking what's in front of him, as you just said, Nick. It's not as complicated as people are making it out to be. He's just got to take what the defense is giving him. In terms of TVD wanting it, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But
yeah, I think TVD wants it. I think I've been watching him for long enough to know that he's just not a guy that's gonna be super rah and all that type of stuff. And as a fan, like, you want to see that because that's kind of like some sort of data, right? It tells us a story. Like, I don't know what's in his head. I don't talk to him. I'm pretty sure he wants it. And to add to the defense, yeah, man, I really love this defense this year, and I love Guidry, and a big part of why we're good is that we played with great effort, right? The first time that I came on with you, I really emphasized like three things, right? Like, know your job and do your job. Run to the ball and hit, and like those are basically all effort things. It's if you don't have that, then you can't be good. And so last week we weren't that good, but we ran to the ball and we hit, and we plays that could have been bad, or could have been worse, but just bad.
Yeah,
and
like
Stevo, you
missed
said
tackle,
it.
missed tackle to Corey Couch, ran him downfield, and then they ended up kicking a field goal. That type of stuff matters.
So that play TC, and I did a film review after. That's a simple flood concept. He's a curl flat defender. He's supposed to keep expanding with that sail route, and he bit. And there was two guys covering it flat. That sail's wide open. He messed up. He knew it, and then he chased his ass down. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that was, that's like James Williams. I posted something on the CanesInSight social media today. He was talking about effort plays, right, and how bad do you want it? You've seen mental mistakes on these Miami teams and defenses for years, those lapses, but it's about how you recover from those mistakes, right? So
100%.
that was an awesome play. And Stevo, you alluded to it earlier in the show too. It's harder to see on offense because you're looking for them to be putting up all these points, and you want a prettier product on the field than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. But the effort plays are there from not only the offensive lineman, but the block. There are guys blocking downfield that are giving a lot more effort on the outside as well.
And even TVD, when he threw that interception versus Georgia Tech, we held him to a field goal that drive when he ran that guy down all the way downfield. So everybody's playing with great effort. It's not just, he's missing this, he's missing that. And like reads wise, we drew up a touchdown versus that, that famous picture on Twitter where the three guys are circled. One's an interception over here to the corner, and then one's the check down to the other side, which you would have to look literally 4 reads to go back to. And then one's the decoy that they want him to throw to. But it's a funny picture, but he just missed the touchdown throw to X. You would think with the knee brace on, like that's the plant leg. It just didn't look good when it left his hands. And obviously, that ball is supposed to be from the bottom of the numbers to the pylon. So you have all that room to fade him because you're running the coverage off. So you have Jacoby George taking an inside stem so you can take that leverage away from the safety. So you want to fade him away from the coverage. So you have all that room from the numbers to the pylon to throw that ball. And if it's on time and if it's on like how we know Tyler Van Dyke could throw, that should be a touchdown. So we do need him to make those type of plays when we're drawing it up, and this is a for sure big play. You obviously you rep that in practice. We're banking on that to hit. We got to make the throw.
100%.
Fans, remember to get your questions in here, as we'll probably be on here for another 10, 15 minutes or so. Nick joining us from vacation today, so appreciate him hopping on.
Yeah.
So just to. Let's see if we have any questions here. Well, Cuban Kane here asking Stevo, why does the offense huddle up? That does not favor TVD or the players.
Yeah, I for one, I am a person who loves to go up tempo. That's just how I play and how I was, brought up in it. But, as a holistically approach, the defense has won us several games this year, and it put us in position to win a game that we lost. So at that point, holistically, the goal is to win as much games as possible. I could totally agree and understand with Coach Mario saying, "Hey, hold this down," because we do have injuries on defense too, and we're still producing. So I completely understand the call because it's got to be more than just the offensive coordinator making this call because he's never ran this pace throughout his career. So I think just holistically, you see them huddle up and then clap and run to the line, like kind of things you would see in an up tempo offense. But we're slowing it down because our defense is winning games. But the last thing they want to do is go 3-and-out even quicker, and then put them back out on the field. But I do agree with the tempo, especially after a first down. We should probably get to that line, even if we run the ball. Just get to the line and make defenses have to adjust on the fly.
Canes, Cats, Heat, 305. Talking about the running back room here. It's it's a bit of a recruiting question, but man, looks like we could take all the running backs that we want because they're all getting run. Obviously, certain guys going down, but it's nice to finally have some depth in that room, right? Nick?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I don't. It's kind of like a weird conversation because it's like you expect guys to go down, and going to the season, we thought about a guy like Don Chaney, right? Who I was still coaching at Belen when he was in eighth grade. I think he was like a stud back then too. But yeah, like going to the game, and I hate saying this, but it's hard to count on him as like actual depth, and that's that's not even factoring in the fact that he plays running back, like the guy that gets injured a lot, and then you add in the fact that he plays running back, then you have to assume that you're going to need depth. I don't know if we're going to lose anybody. Looking at the guys that were targeting, so we're targeting Hellcat, targeting the guy from Tuscaloosa, who's a stud by the way.
Riley,
That's
yep.
awesome. And then there's one more that we're going to flip, Lyle. And I don't know much about him. I don't want to comment. But I running back, you're going to need him, man, for sure.
I know, Stevo, you've had a chance. Okay, let me keep that up because you're going to talk about it. I know you've had a chance to see Lyle, always repping Broward, right? So I'll let you talk him up a bit. But you're a big Hellcat guy as well, Chris Wheatley Humphrey.
Yeah, that's my boy right there. That's the one. I love Hellcat. That's my type of back. Same thing with CJ. You get them Broward County. You can't. We get sometimes the fast ones, but we need to get the elite speed ones, which we finally got in with CJ, and then a Hellcat back to back. Those are 4-3 guys. So that's nice to see, and they can run routes. So Hellcat can play corner if they figured it out, figured it that way. But I mean, given the ball, he's gonna score. It's crazy, especially on kick return. Hellcat, one of them ones that just grooves. It's just so smooth with it, and then once he hits it, it's over. But yeah, Jordan Lyle, he just had 5 touchdowns versus Monarch. One of the better public schools over here in Broward County. Everybody at the game was just like, bro, he's dominant. Obviously, he's been committed to Ohio State for a while. Last year, we flipped one of their running backs, Mark Fletcher, and got him to stay home out of Broward County. So I'm hoping we repeat that. Let Ohio State know they ain't getting elite running backs out of South Florida. Next stop is receivers, but that's another conversation.
Damn straight.
Let them boys know. You have them early. We're going to flip them.
Dave V asking who Hellcat is. Again, that's Chris Wheatley Humphrey.
South Broward.
Yep, South Broward. So,
yeah. Look, if he comes in and he plays corner, I'll be happy, man. Of course, it's kind of like a tough conversation that is like you don't want the fans really talking about it. It's kind of like a coaching thing, but if he comes in and plays corner, I mean, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah.
Talented player, yeah.
I'm excited as soon as you put on a Miami Hurricanes jersey. Just put him on a number that can go either way. It don't matter. Because when he averages like 200 yards a game on like 10 touches. Like he be sitting like mid-second quarter just chilling. I put up 200 already, like chilling.
And Stevo, you talked about CJ, Chris Johnson, who fans have been kind of asking to see more of. I think, look, as soon as we saw flashes of it already, but as soon as he gets a little bit more good weight on, right, in pass protection, right, because with the ball in his hands, yeah, you would like to see him get schemed the ball 2 or 3 times a game, at least test the defense out, right, because there isn't much film on him, but at the same time, you got to understand there's more to it than just him with the ball in his hands, right?
Yeah, you got a quarterback who's been nursing an injury all year, multiple injuries now. At this point, you have to have somebody who's pass protection worthy.
Nick?
Yeah, and to kind of like go back to the comment about taking 6 or 7 running backs on the roster. I mean, something that should be noted is not all these guys are the same, and I think it's important to mention. And yes, it seems like we go with the hot hand, but there's always more than one guy playing, right? And if you're gonna have like a diverse running game with zone blocking, man blocking, doing everything, based on how the game is going and sort of who you're playing, you want to have a guy come in as a changeup that's not the same as the other guy. And I think that kind of adds another dimension to the offense. And I think to do that consistently and to have depth, I think you have to have like several of each type of guy.
Stevo, man, I don't know. You might have to defend your people here. Jay Vickers said we need more Miami-Dade guys. Broward guys are too slow.
We talking the fastest person on the team. We talking about getting him the ball.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah,
next.
Sorry.
Next. Dave V. I don't know if you just hopped on. We've talked about this a bit tonight. The use of the tight ends, and I'm sure Coach Dawson has probably seen people asking for it as well online.
Can I just mention that Riley Williams is going to be an absolute stud. I mean, the guy is like a freak, but like he's also 18 years old. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much we can expect a kid that young to do. People don't understand how much you have to do playing tight end. It's staggering the number of skills that you have to have. So much so that kids go to the NFL and that's when they figure it out. Like when they have the time to have NFL coaching that they can actually sit there and learn everything because it's their job. You know what I mean? And so, I think people got to be like a little bit patient with Riley. And then since we touched on recruiting, man, I really hope we keep this guy Lofton, man. He's like absolute stud. My favorite player in the class. He's kind of like not the type of player you see that often. Like he's almost like a fullback. You know what I mean? Like he's like he can do everything. And like to me, when you're looking at a player and trying to like figure out who's a good player, who's not, the first question that I ask is like, can he play multiple positions? Like, can that guy play here and there and there and there? And like, it's a football player, right? And I've kind of talked about this like a little bit with some of the guys on defense. But for me, number one is that guy. I love that guy.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like NCAA 14. You find a recruit, an athlete. You don't really know what position he's gonna play, but he's got. You start going through all the positions. You start trying to figure out, what's his highest ceiling at, and then you end up having a 6'1", 254-pound slot receiver. Like something crazy like that, right? So that's exactly what he is, right? I mean, he's like a jumbo-sized. Everyone wants to compare him to Brevin Jordan, but he's a little bit more juiced up than Brevin Jordan
more juice.
is. So I think that's what everyone has to realize with him, and he's visiting Texas this weekend, right?
Yeah, but very similar to the tape of Elijah Arroyo in high school, able to win on the outside one-on-one with either speed, double moves, just over the top. So very similar ability, and then obviously he has that H-back ability. Bro, he was toting that ball versus Central. Obviously, we got a bunch of kids on Raw
Yeah.
that play at Central. I was watching that game. A bunch of my dogs on defense playing that game, bro. He was toting that rock. He was probably the best player on the field that night. That was crazy. Like that game studded. Rosters are stacked on both sides, but bro, he was literally just give him the ball. That's a football player he alluded to. I like football players. I don't just like people who play certain positions. I like football players. Those are the type of people who gonna make plays on special teams too. I like football players, so I'm big on a Lofton too. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, just because there's some local guys that I get the heat if I went sideways.
I know D Money, who obviously always has the inside scoop from the staff, has said the staff thinks he's like the best football player in the country, right? And obviously there's more to it than just being a pure football player. There are, height, weight, speed is very important, but that just goes to show you what they think of him, right? So
only thing holding him back recruiting wise is his height. That's the only thing.
Is his height, right? Yeah. But listen, I guarantee you, Shannon Dawson wishes he had him in this offense right now, because you already see what he's doing with a Brashard Smith, and can only imagine what he can do with an Arroyo, a Lofton, right? So just as we wrap things up here, guys, looking at this game this weekend, right? I'm not going to ask for a score prediction, but what kind of game are you expecting here, right? Is it? I know, Stevo, you talked about how the Canes QBs always go crazy on NC State defenses. Are you expecting it to be a shootout, right, in terms of Miami being able to air it out successfully once again? Do you see it being a slugfest? I mean, look into your crystal ball. Stevo, we'll start with you.
In my heart, and a pregame, I'm a Hurricanes fan. Review, I'm doing the tape, so I can gas all I need to. To be honest, I don't think it's a shootout, just because I have faith in our defense. If anything, it'll be a slugfest before a shootout, because I think we score consistently, we blow this team out. Because if we scored consistently, we beat probably every team but North Carolina, and then maybe North Carolina if it wasn't for key things that changed that momentum of that game. But if we score consistently, it's a blowout. I'm sorry. So I don't think we'll get into any shootouts. I don't think they can consistently line up on our defense and score. Because the one thing I can say about Coach Guidry, which I love, anytime something works on us once, that next drive you will see it taken away. On God, it is gone. You come back to that well twice, he's already adjusted. So that's one thing I like about Coach Guidry, the on-the-fly adjustments. He doesn't have to go to the locker room to switch that up. So I don't think it'll be a shootout. So I'm going with my dog TBD going crazy, 38-13, even though you didn't ask for score predictions.
There you go.
We get some of those explosive to the house plays running the ball that, people are going to think, 38-13, we're going to pass it a lot. I do think we are. But just give me some house calls, whether it's Brashard Smith, whether it's A.J. Allen, whether it's Mark Fletcher, somebody bust me a big one.
Nick?
Oh, man, I wasn't planning on giving a score prediction, but I think I'm going to have to. But first to kind of add to what Steve was saying, I think if we start scoring, I think it can get ugly. It's just that's the question. Which TBD are we going to get? Obviously, he's one more week healthy. Maybe we start fast. I think we start fast, and it's basically game over, because then TBD's on. It's an 8 p.m. kick. It's going to be sold out. They're going to be talking trash to us. TV is not going to hear boo birds from his own fans. I think it's a situation where TBD becomes TBD again. And so really their offense, if they score, it'll be on like big plays. I don't think that they can sort of drive on us. And so if I have to put a score prediction, I would say probably I'm going to say 35-10.
Pretty similar to
just because I can't not pick us. It's impossible. You know what I mean? I'm fully emotionally connected to this team. I can't not do it. You know what I mean?
I like Canes money line every weekend, baby.
There you go. There you go.
Hey. So look, because of Josh Pate, I took the money line on the Clemson game before I heard TVD was out, and I still won.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, no, guys, I appreciate you hopping on here. As always, Canes Insight Live. And again, Canes fans, if you enjoyed this analysis from both of these guys, Stevo from 365 Canes Football, you can follow him on Twitter and his YouTube page as well. Nick Echeverria at West End Zone. I believe that's your Twitter as well, right?
West underscore and
underscore zone. Yep. Okay. So appreciate you guys joining me again. Canes fans, check out their work. Got some good numbers here. Had over 80 for most of the show here. So appreciate your guys' support as always. See you at Titanic, 8 p.m. this weekend for the official Canes Insight watch party. And keep it locked on Canes Insight. We'll continue bringing you these live shows, the podcast, Stevo with his video reviews, Nick as well. We got it all coming on CanesInsight.com. Appreciate everyone for checking us out tonight.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.